I've saved quite a bit. I am Jennifer, grinning slyly as I look at my smartphone. I'm 29 years old and working part-time. It's been 2 years since I got married. Even if my colleagues find it creepy, I can't stop grinning. Because finally, it looks like I've saved enough to build our dream home. The bank account balance displayed on my smartphone is close to our goal. My husband, Chris, and I married after a workplace romance, and we don't have children yet. We've always planned to have children after building our home. Honestly, I wanted to enjoy being single a bit longer, but at the age of 27, I married Chris, who was in his mid-30s and insistent. Working at the same company as my husband, although in different departments, is awkward. But if I changed jobs, my salary would definitely decrease. So, I've kept working, enduring it all, and now we're just a step away from buying our home. It's been a long journey. No particular issues between my husband and me, work is going well, and savings are on track. A mundane marriage, mundane work, and a mundane home purchase. I thought continuing such a mundane life would be the greatest happiness. But life, where everything goes smoothly, is not how things work. The troublesome part for me, that's the relationship with my in-laws. That's the biggest issue in this marriage. After work, I return to our rented apartment. It's a bit cramped for 2 people, but we'll have to endure it until we've saved enough for our home. The moment I open the door and see the shoes there, my fatigue increases. Oh no. She's here again today. I sigh deeply in my heart. I'm home. Oh, welcome back. You're late today. It wasn't my husband, Chris, who responded to my greeting. It was my mother-in-law, sitting heavily on the couch in our small apartment. Good evening, Mother. Do you always come back this late? My in-laws live in the next city. Not far, awkwardly close. Because of this, my mother-in-law frequently comes to our house without worrying about the distance. Coming back this late, what about Chris's dinner? It's always like this. Without a word of sympathy for my late work hours, complaints are all that come out of her mouth. I'm sorry, work was hectic. I'll prepare something right away. You two are working at the same company and Chris has been home for a while though. Jennifer, aren't you a bit inefficient? Although we work at the same company, our departments are completely different. His department almost never has overtime. But consequently, his salary is lower. My department is essential to the company, with many critical projects that require overtime. But consequently, I'm one of the highest earners in the company. It would be better if Chris explained this, but maybe his pride gets in the way. He never says anything. He just quietly sips his coffee. Ideally, since we both work, it would be nice if Chris helped a bit with the chores. But he resolutely does nothing. Shopping, laundry, cleaning, preparing baths and meals, he doesn't do any of them. When he comes home, he's either watching TV or fiddling with his smartphone. Unaware of this, my mother-in-law keeps making snide remarks today as well. It's all right, Chris and I already had dinner. What? You already ate? Yes, we had a delicious steak. I wanted to treat Chris to something nice for a change, so I paid. I see. I almost jumped when I heard the name of the steak restaurant. It wasn't a high-end place, was it? I was surprised, but since my mother-in-law paid, well, it's okay. I thought I should just prepare my own dinner. But my mother-in-law stopped me. Though Jennifer, I hate to ask, but could you help me out? I had a bad feeling. I'm having a tough time this month. Could you help me out a little? Oh, I knew it. She frequently asks for money like this. But it doesn't make sense, right? You went to a high-end steak restaurant, right? I remember you said you were struggling last month too and begged for money. We're in the same situation with no money to spare. Yet you pretended to cry and manipulated me into giving you $300 last time, right? And many times before that. I want to say, aren't you the one who's inefficient, but I force a strained smile. I'm sorry, we're tight this month too. How could you do nothing when your parents are struggling? What a cold daughter-in-law. Who's the cold one here? You leave your son to go eat steak, ignore your daughter-in-law, and help out nothing at home. At that moment, my husband, Chris, finally spoke up. You are stingy, Jennifer. Mom's having a tough time, you know? Try to help her out a bit. But I really am struggling this month? Oh, well. Look, Mom, I'll help you out. Saying that, Chris sighed and took out his wallet, handing his mother as much as $500. Oh, Chris is really such a kind and wonderful son. You are my pride and joy, unlike Jennifer. Then she glared at me, who was too stunned to say anything, and headed straight for the entrance. As I sighed in relief, thinking she was leaving, she turned back and glared at me again. Chris, if you ever want to divorce a wife who squanders your salary, remember you can always come back home.
Yeah.
I'll think about it. With a loud bang, my mother-in-law slammed the door and left. What does that mean? Turning around, I see Chris already lying on the sofa with his smartphone in hand. I confronted him. Why did you give her $500? If we have that much spare, put it towards our household expenses. There's a reason I say this. Chris pays the rent for this apartment, but that's it. Utilities, communication bills, groceries, miscellaneous expenses, I pay for all of it. Simply because Chris won't. What are you talking about? I pay the rent, right? What more do you want from me, you greedy woman? That's always his excuse for not contributing more. I'm paying for everything else, including the phone bill for the smartphone you're holding. That's only natural. You earn more than me. Just a bit more than your salary. We're barely scraping by with living expenses and savings. Oh? You have room to save? Then you're fine. Look. Reacting to my mention of savings, he reached out his hand. What's with that hand? Mom took the $500, and now I'm out of money. Give me some pocket money. What? Don't joke. Despite claiming all his income beyond rent for himself, he always says he's short every month. I've reluctantly given him money before for entertainment and social outings, but not today. Giving you money is the same as giving it to your mother. Why should I pay for your and your mother's steak expenses? What's wrong with showing some filial piety? What about me? Neither my mother-in-law nor Chris ever appreciate what I do. It feels like a loss financially. And what was that about considering divorce? Exactly what it sounds like. If you keep being so stingy, I have my thoughts. With that, Chris stormed off to the bedroom and locked himself in. With limited space in our cramped apartment, I had no choice but to sleep on the sofa. Amid these stressful days, my only comfort was checking my bank account balance. After enduring snide remarks and financial demands from my mother-in-law, I opened my smartphone before starting overtime at work. I logged into my savings account from my single days. Just a little more to go for our dream home. I froze as I looked at the screen. What is this? I stood up abruptly, apologized to my boss, and rushed home. Chris. Are you there? Huh? What's up? You're home early today. Chris looked surprised. Before him was an array of what seemed like high-end steak. And it wasn't just Chris there. Welcome back, Jennifer. We're here too. Both of my in-laws were there, not just my mother-in-law but my father-in-law as well. I wondered what they could possibly want. What are you doing? We're just having some steak. Want some, Jennifer? Steak. Where did the money for this come from? Oh, I had some extra income. Extra income. As I pressed in, Chris and my in-laws looked flustered. Grabbing Chris by the collar as if to not let him escape, he resignedly handed me something. It was the bank passbook I had just checked online. I snapped it open. The transaction details left me speechless. What is this? How did you withdraw this? I just tried guessing the PIN, and it worked. It worked isn't the right response. What are you doing withdrawing my money without permission? The money I had painstakingly saved since before our marriage was gone. Chris, unabashed and smirking, admitted to withdrawing it freely. And I felt like I was going to explode with anger. Stop nagging. We're married, aren't we? What's yours is mine. Don't mess around. This is the savings I worked hard for before we got married. Give it back. Jennifer, what are you saying? What belongs to the wife obviously belongs to the husband, right? While being supported by Chris. You cleverly saved up such a large amount of money. Jennifer, you really are a greedy woman. Exactly. You should be more grateful. Who do you think you're living thanks to? What a situation. There's not a single ally for me here. Don't joke around. This is just like being robbed. Give it back. Who do you think is joking here? Startled by the mention of being a thief, he irritably responded. Have you forgotten that I pay the rent for this place? Plus, I often have to attend business dinners and even support my parents. Exactly. Chris is such a dutiful son. While I pay the rent, you're busy saving up. Must be nice. All you pay is the rent. You hardly ever have those business dinners. And you ask for money from me while supporting your parents. Quiet. You came here as a wife, it's only natural for you to listen to my parents and me. What? Be thankful I haven't divorced a useless person like you. With that, Chris shockingly dragged me out of the house. Wait. There's no steak for you. Go cool off outside. I never thought I'd be kicked out. I was stunned for a while, but ended up staying in a hotel that night. The following day, only Chris was home when I returned. I was relieved the in-laws were gone, but then he suddenly presented a piece of paper in front of me. It was a divorce application, already filled out on Chris's part. What is this? Listen, if you complain about anything from now on, it's instant divorce. If you don't want to divorce, just obey me. I'll manage the savings from now on. Saying that, Chris waved the passbook in front of me and started to leave. Where are you going? Out for a drink. Got a problem with that? Want a divorce? He smirked and left. What a foolish man. Does he think I'll listen to him just because he threatens divorce? By then, my affection for Chris had completely vanished. And about that passbook he took. Does he really think there's still money left in it? I had already withdrawn everything and transferred it to another account. It was risky to keep all my money in one account, so I have multiple accounts. The passbook Chris had was just one of them. I filled out my part of the divorce application. He is truly foolish. Leaving a signed divorce application is not a threat, but rather what I wished for. I grabbed the divorce application, packed my belongings, and left the house. I stayed another night at the hotel. The following day, I took a day off work and submitted the divorce application as soon as the office opened. Then, I headed straight to a real estate agency. I had found an interesting property while browsing on my smartphone at the hotel the night before. A new single-family home, close to a bus stop, perfect for commuting. I was almost love-struck by it. The exterior and interior were nearly ideal for me. I viewed the house and decided on the spot to buy it. Afterward, things were hectic. Staying in a hotel during the move would be too expensive. So I explained my situation and stayed at a friend's house while preparing for my new home. I had to arrange for new furniture and various other procedures. The busyness made me completely forget about my ex-husband and his parents. Hey, Jennifer. That's why I was startled when Chris showed up at my department one day. Oh right, we work at the same company, I thought. As Chris called out loudly and walked straight towards me. Drawing everyone's attention, he didn't seem to care. Why aren't you answering your phone? Didn't feel like it. Oh right, there were incessant calls from him. I ignored them because they were annoying and I was busy. You withdrew money from the account on your own, didn't you? Stop messing around. Why aren't you coming home? Do you really want to be divorced? Oh, it's fine. We will soon be divorced. Also, that money in the account is mine. I can do whatever I want with it. It seems he still thinks the threat of divorce works as blackmail. I said it nonchalantly, and his face went blank. What a silly expression. It's laughable. What? Divorce you. You prepared it so nicely. I gladly submitted it. What? I don't accept this. Whether you accept it or not, the divorce will be finalized in some months. Oh, I've already informed the company and completed the procedures. You might want to check if there's anything you need to do and report to your supervisor. With that, I turned my attention back to my computer. I'm busy. Divorce. Where are you living now, leaving your stuff at home? I took what I needed. I'm buying new things and living comfortably. So where are you living? It's none of your business anymore. Can you please not pry into someone else's privacy? After that, he fell silent. Eventually, unable to bear the stares of my colleagues and supervisors, he left the department silently. My colleagues sympathized with me, saying, "You have it tough." The comfort of my new home was unparalleled. The scent of a new build was irreplaceable, and the spaciousness allowed me to live comfortably. I had just moved in and still lacked many things I needed. Today, the appliances I ordered online were supposed to arrive. Just then, the doorbell rang. Thinking it was the delivery, I opened the door and immediately regretted it. I cursed myself for not checking the peephole. Standing there was Mother. Technically, she was my former mother-in-law, but I blurted it out in surprise. Indeed, my former mother-in-law was there. Right behind me stood my father-in-law, and behind him, Chris was standing. It's been a while, Jennifer. I'm coming in. Oh, wait a minute. Ignoring my protests, she barged in, inspecting the interior as if appraising it. Not a bad place at all. Oh, this furniture is nice too. Please move it to my room. Oh, there's a guest room too. Nice, then this room will be ours. Wait a second. What's with these curtains? Terrible taste. I'll pick new ones, so give me the money. The yard is quite spacious too. Maybe I'll start a vegetable garden. What are these people talking about? I turned to Chris, confused. Chris, what's going on? Be happy, Jennifer. As I tried to press for answers, she interrupted me. When I irritably looked at her face, she was glaring triumphantly. It's not a great house, but as a gift to the parents, it's decent enough. If it's a duplex, we'll move in. What? Naturally, you'll do the housework. We'll allow you to give us an allowance of $1,000 a month. What? What am I even being told? Are these people aliens? Completely bewildered, I tilted my head. You say I'm the wife, but I'm actually single now? What? My former mother-in-law's face was one of surprise. I was just as shocked. Chris hadn't told her? I don't accept it. Chris yelled, but even without his acceptance, the divorce form had been accepted. We would soon be complete strangers. As I stated this, she turned pale. What do you mean? You're abandoning us, your parents. My parents live in the countryside. I've been thinking of inviting them over. Don't joke. This house is ours. No, it's mine. What is this woman saying? This is the house I bought with my own saved money. Then where are we supposed to live? I don't know anything about that. Apparently, my in-laws' house was sold. The contract was already finalized. They planned to live comfortably in this house with the money from the sale. And what they could extort from me. What a horrifying plan. I won't accept this, no matter what. She kept protesting, but it didn't matter. We would soon be strangers, and this house was mine. I won't accept it, absolutely not. Enraged, she tore down the curtains. Hey, what are you doing? Such bad taste. I don't need this. Since this is my house, I'll do as I please. That's right, a wife's belongings are the husband's. Your things are mine. Remember, I don't accept the divorce, and both my parents and I will live here. As Chris also shouted, the situation became chaotic. Just then, sirens were finally heard. I had discreetly called the police when Chris and the former mother-in-law entered the house. The police arrived just in time. Hey, what are you doing? We haven't done anything wrong. Exactly, if anyone should be taken, it's this woman. The three of them loudly protested against the police. Breaking into someone's home is a crime of intrusion, damaging property is vandalism. Did they not understand that? After a loud uproar, they were not arrested but were taken away. It was an utterly chaotic day. Later on, after being released by the police, Chris repeatedly tried to reconcile, only to end up in police custody each time. He also followed me to work, resulting in a strict warning from my boss after I consulted him. The news of Chris using my savings and storming the new house spread throughout the company. As a result, he was shunned by everyone and eventually resigned. It seemed to have taken a toll on his mental health, making re-employment difficult. The former in-laws, having sold their house, moved into the cheap apartment where Chris and I had lived earlier. It was old and poorly maintained, so it likely didn't sell for much. The three of them would probably live meagerly in that cramped apartment. With the money they had. Finally free from everything, I am enjoying a peaceful and comfortable life in my own home. I had offered my parents in the countryside to live with me. But they weren't ready to move yet, so my easy single life will continue for the time being. I might consider remarriage if a good match comes along, but for now, I'm not ready yet. Maybe I'd get a dog, which I couldn't have in the apartment. I'm thinking about starting a vegetable garden and hosting home parties with friends. Looking out at the blue sky through the window. I plan to enjoy my life doing things I couldn't do before.